You're from Canada. The last couple of years has been Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
What have you made of him?
I sense a lot of suppressed rage in him.
Thought we were talking about masculinity.
We are.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
Like, I don't bloody well know what they're corresponding now. What is it? Look, it was the bloody backseat. You, whatever.
Well, okay.
You talk not okay. That's an important distinction.
With a Pepe flag.
I can't believe you brought that up.
Right, but I just think it's
Seriously, I can't believe you brought that up.
What are you so upset about, Jordan? What are you so afraid of? In fact, I think he's always just choking with rage a lot of the time. It's interesting because he talks about rage, that you have to deal with it. I don't think you understand just how angry he is. Secondly, he teaches repression. In his book, he talks about how an angry 2-year-old child needs to be sit by themselves until they get over it.
Your kid has a temper tantrum in the store. You pick up the child, you go outside with them, you stand them up somewhere.
Rather than understanding why a child will be angry at age 2, he says repress the anger. So he's all about repressed anger as far as I'm concerned.
Have you heard of this Dr. Gabor Maté guy?
Who?
He says a lot of profound things.
Sorry, that happened really quickly. Sorry.
He seems to say a lot of profound things.
Who is this guy?
I don't know, but let's find out.
Let's go. All right, let's get right into it. Tom and I have watched countless hours of Dr. Maté, and we have gathered his 6 best moments. And why did we do this? Well, let's be real. Parents just don't necessarily have the time to dedicate watching hours and hours of videos. So we did it for you.
Dr. Gabor Maté was born in Budapest in 1944 to a Jewish family during the Nazi occupations. His grandparents were killed in Auschwitz, his aunt vanished, and his father was forced into labor. At just 1 year old, his mom gave him to a stranger for 5 weeks to save his life. When reunited, baby Maté wouldn't look at her. A trauma he said left deep wounds of abandonment and despair that still echoes into his adult relationships today.
If you're a good parent, you're going to frustrate your 2-year-old. When they want a cookie before dinner, you're going to say, no cookie before dinner. If he's a healthy 2-year-old, they're going to throw a tantrum because they're frustrated. But then you read Jordan Peterson's book, and he says an angry child should be made to sit by themselves until they come back to normal. It's not normal for a kid to be angry. So the kid gets a message. If I'm going to experience my genuine self, I'm going to lose my attachment. Now guess what the kid's going to give up? The attachment or the authenticity. But only 100% of the time, it's the authenticity. Because without attachment, they can't live. But authenticity becomes the thread. The kid becomes a fate of their true selves. And if I'm being myself, they won't like me. They'll reject me. They'll even hurt me. The culture rewards you. You're such a good kid. Always compliant, so nice, pleasant. What a pretty little girl, always pretty. We praise kids for pleasing us. The reward is the attachment. We don't care about the child's inner experience. We give ourselves up to be accepted. Then you grow up and you think, who the hell am I anyway? Whose life am I living? And why am I behaving in these ways?
This was a very powerful lesson for me in a few ways. Number one is that a healthy 2-year-old has a tantrum. And that to me was a profound thing because we were always taught to believe, again, like he says, you need to be compliant, you need to listen, you're such a good kid because you're very obedient. Well, no, a healthy child will be one to throw a tantrum. And for me, that was a huge relief in myself to understand that this is okay. My child is okay, and this should be the normal. The second thing is we have lost our authenticity because we need that attachment at such a young age. And again, it's so profound to think that we are losing ourselves, and then when we're 30 and 40, we're reevaluating our whole lives, asking, who are we anyways? If you ask anybody that I have asked, who are you? No one can give me an answer.
You always marry somebody that's going to trigger for you every unhappiness that you ever had in your childhood. So when we find somebody to be in a relationship with, it happens on 2 levels. One level is I find them attractive, they're humorous, fun to be with. There's a commonality, but underneath it is something else. They're looking for the love that we never got in the first place. So relationships are very much a matter of growing up together, if that can happen. Marry somebody, find both your dreams and your worst nightmare.
We're subconsciously seeking our parents' dysfunction.
Yeah, because that's what we want to learn.
I also find that this is kind of a confusing video in some sense, because at first, remember, we were like, oh, well, you can go in it in two different ways, right? You can look for the dysfunction and cater to that, right? Because it's like, they always say, you know, date a bad boy or whatever. And it's because you were lacking some things from your parents. So you go for that negative attributes of somebody. However, in this case, I think it's more going for the dysfunction of things that you lacked, right? So I think there is that difference that you could go either way.
Yeah, and again, and here's a crazy moment. On the first video where we talked about, do millennials deserve the worst parent label, we had 2 likes. And then on our last video, you guys did an amazing job and got us 24 likes. If you guys love smashing records, help us beat 24 likes on this video. Hit that like button and let's get the likes up. Dating the bad boy, right, is because that bad boy resembled the parents you had, the relationship that you had with your parents.
Exactly.
Your parents never gave you much love, so you're used to that. You're used to, okay, well, I never got much love anyways. This guy also doesn't give you love. So I am comfortable of where I am at.
And you also want to control that situation and try to change them to be who you want them to be. So that's unhealthy in all ways.
Yes.
Which I have done that in my past as well.
Yeah.
I'm someone that's exploring the idea of becoming a mother.
Yeah.
And it's petrifying. Because I don't want to mess it up.
It will, don't worry about it.
That's the thing. No matter how much hearing you have, it seems like you're still going to mess it up.
When you say you're petrified, you're scared. Here's how I'm interpreting it. Could be wrong. You tell me. You're not petrified of the future, you're petrified of the past. Stuff happened to you that shouldn't have, or stuff didn't happen that should have. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what you're afraid of masturbating and perpetrating on your children.
Yes.
Mind telling me how old you are?
That is. Oh.
How old were you when your mother and father took on the job of getting to know themselves so as not to pass on their traumas to you? How old were you when they took that on?
I think they're starting to.
How old were you when they started?
I'm 34 and I feel like they're mainly starting now.
Okay, you're 34 and they're starting now. What would it have meant for you if your mother had asked the same question you just asked me before you were born?
And not being scared to exist in my household.
Yeah. That would have meant everything, yeah. You've already given that gift to your unborn children. You have nothing to worry about. The therapist once said, if your parents gave you this much, you give your kids this much, you've done a great job.
So like my mom now, you know, she's almost 60 and she's starting now. And again, like he says, what would it have meant for her kids, meaning me? What would that have meant? And again, it would have meant everything. But I can't change that. However, I can change the now.
What does it mean?
ADHD?
Yeah, what is it exactly? Is it real?
So tuning out is not a disease, if I may.
Okay.
If I were to stress you right now, create stress, what would be your options of dealing with them? Or dealing with me? What would be your options?
I could get upset or I could leave.
Exactly. Fight back, flight or fight, yeah? But what if you didn't have those options?
Then you're stuck.
And what does the brain do when you're stuck?
Gets distracted, tunes out, they want to do other things, think about other things.
It's a coping mechanism. Parents are stressed. The child absorbs the stress. What can they do? They tune out. And that gets programmed into the brain. Later we say, you got this disease. No, you don't. You've got a coping mechanism that's no longer working for you.
Growing up, I feel like I I really struggle with being present, and still to this day, I really struggle just being in the moment. I often think about other things. I think about things in the past and in the future, and it's hard for me to think about the now. And so the way that Dr. Gabor explained it is just beautifully. And again, I just love the way that he explains it, because he explains it so easily for a commoner like me to understand. But, you know, growing up with hard experiences and hardships, like I couldn't run away, I couldn't fight. So what does a kid do? It does what the third option is, which is just to tune things out. And I've been doing this for so long that I now as an adult has finally realized, okay, I need to stop doing this, and I need to really just focus on the moment.
When I was in the 4th grade, I woke up in the middle of the night on a family vacation, and an older kid was on top of me. That had massive implications on my life. Wake up to an older kid on top of me who was fondling me.
Can I unpack this for you?
Sure.
Are you open to it?
Oh, I'm so open to it. Yeah.
How did you feel when this happened?
I felt very confused and scared.
Scared. Goodness. Who did you speak to about it?
No one.
If something like this happened to one of your daughters and they didn't talk to you, how would you explain that?
I'd feel, how would I explain it? I personally, as the mother, would feel heartbroken.
I understand how you feel, but I'll ask you how you explain it. Why wasn't my daughter talking to me? I was feeling scared and violated.
They didn't feel safe talking to me.
That's the trauma. The trauma began before that happened. If you had been able to talk to your parents, and they would say, this is awful, you must feel terrible, come here, let me hold you, let's deal with the situation. So the trauma is not only in what happened, it's that you were so alone as it happened. And that aloneness was yours before this traumatic event. Abusers can tell with almost laser-like accuracy who was defended and protected and who was not, who can be victimized and who cannot. So that your primary traumatic event was not this event. Not that this wasn't traumatic, of course it was hugely traumatic, but it became hugely traumatic because you were alone. That sense of lack of safety and lack of protection, that's the primary traumatic situation.
Of course, just makes me, it makes me sad. I didn't know this sooner, but I feel very grateful for your work.
This clip hits for me in quite a few ways. But the most important thing that I have gathered from this is the understanding of what it means for the word trauma. The way he says, the aloneness was yours before the traumatic event actually happened. Yeah, that was very, very powerful to me. Personally, I've experienced something very similar to this. I don't want to use any powerful words here, so I'm just going to say I was violated when I was younger. And for me, I always thought that I had to search through all of these things because I was lacking a relationship with my dad. But after hearing a situation like that and the way that he explains everything, it made me actually realize that I felt abandoned by my mom. And I always thought that it was my dad that abandoned me, which he did. That's a whole other thing. But the trauma that happened to me was a lack of security and protection from my mom. And yeah, that was very difficult for me to process. Still difficult for me to process, but it's something that I've just recently learned, literally after watching this clip. So yeah. So the way he says it, the trauma began before the situation happened, and that aloneness was yours before. That just reevaluates every traumatic situation that I've ever been in that sense, because now it's not thinking about, oh my gosh, this situation happened and it's horrible and that's all I can dwell on. Well, no, something happened before that leading this to be so traumatic. Of course, the event is traumatic, like he says. However, it's what has been ingrained in me from such an early age. Again, I'm not passing any blame on any of my family members, my parents, whatever. They were doing the best that they can. However, it is situations like this that I just want to get to the bottom of, because it has changed my perspective on a lot of things in my past. And that's why this journey is so beautiful, yet also very exhausting, because there's always things that you have to learn and change and grow from. And The answers for me are what matter, not passing blame on anybody. And I just love this clip for that because it's given me that answer to look at things differently.
I think the traumatic experiences that a lot of us kids faces and we grow up into adults, I think a lot of that experiences comes from the fact that we just never had an attachment with our parents. We were never able to speak to them about anything. And therefore, you don't get that comfort, but also you don't get that advice from them as well because we're so afraid that we're going to disappoint them or they're going to get mad at us. And I feel like a lot of it, that's why attachment is so important between you and a child, because you want your child to tell you a lot of these hardships because you have the brain capacity and experiences to now explain to them, okay, come here, I love you, and then here's what you do, and I'm here for you. And I think that's so important.
Mm-hmm. And we never really had that as kids.
We never had that.
And again, our parents never had that, and it goes on and on
Exactly.
and on. And again, that's why we say, like, the blame is not on our parents per se. It's just situations that have happened.
And so, yeah, if you're also on this journey, subscribe to us, give us a like, and comment about your own experience in all of this.
Can I also just add one more thing? The fact that this Dr. Maté is making someone so significant like Mel Robbins cry. Like, she's already established all in her own stuff, and she's very knowledgeable in a lot of therapeutic ways, and this guy comes in and just like knocks somebody off their feet. Like, it is crazy. He is amazing.
He is one of a kind. He is just truly special, and I wish we have someone like him personally in our life.
Yeah.
Or someone we can just call.
Yeah, Dr. Maté, can we have you on speed dial, please?
Yeah.
Seek the reality of everything. Don't get seduced by appearances. Secondly, don't be afraid of your pain and don't run away from it. That running away is what leads to addiction and illness and so on. Number 3, it's all worth it. It's worth going through all that suffering because this is what life is. It's just worth being alive. Seek the reality of everything. Don't get seduced by appearances. Secondly, don't be afraid of your pain and don't run away from it. That running away is what leads to addiction and illness and so on. Number 3, it's all worth it. It's worth going through all that suffering because this is what life is. It's just worth being alive. Seek the reality of everything.